Hello and welcome to the NAT 20 podcast, where we will be talking about the experience of being a beginner in the Dungeons and Dragons world, uh, and the reason many people don't play it or even know it exists. Well, starting off, what is D&D? D&D is like a type of board game, but it doesn't really need a board per se. It can be played with a simple small map you make out of a piece of paper, just draw it in, or maybe you can get a computer if you're playing online, uh, generate your own world. You would also need a character sheet. It's just a piece of paper with names and words and letters and numbers. It takes forever to make and takes a lot of dice rolls and math. Oh god. And it's also a type of magic game. D&D is also a type of magic game where people can use like their imagination to play. Literally anything is possible. You can do whatever you want as long as your DM allows it. It is a very fun, would do whatever you want type of game. Now, being a D&D player isn't the easiest thing. It's kind of like a strategy or a game of chance. You have to think about what you're gonna do, and then you have to roll a dice and see what happens. If you, depending on what you get, for example, if you roll some dice and you get a one, it goes horribly for you. It's just a complete disaster. If you get a, for example, a nat 20, the name of this podcast, um, it could go pretty well. It all depends on what your DM, the dungeon master, the person who's hosting the game, says about it and all that stuff. Um, Now, this can be something that makes people go away from the game or maybe come to it. Um, Not many people play the game because they think, oh, it's super hard, and oh, not that many people uh like it because like not that many people like it because they just look at it and they're like, oh, it looks really hard because it's like a bunch of numbers, bunch of math, roll a dice, uh, and they think it's like the hardest thing in the world. It's not. It's pretty easy when it comes down to like all the beginner like basics. Um, People really don't like just rolling a dice and people telling you what happens. Um, they think it's boring. It's pretty boring in the beginning because like you're barely starting off, but after a while of playing the game, going at it over and over and over again, it gets pretty fun. Then you get other people to join in, and it gets even more fun because it's a lot more fun when it's played with more than just one person. Um, it's I personally really like it. It's really fun. It's really fun for me to be able to do whatever I want. Like bring out my inner 5-year-old that just wants to like ride a dragon and destroy everything. Maybe burn down a village or something. It's really fun. It's not really for kids. I mean, you could make a campaign that's like for little kids, but it's mainly like a bunch of high schoolers and like adult people playing it. It's it's also actually one of the reasons many people don't play it. It's because they think, oh, only nerds play this. No, it's not only nerds. A lot of other people play it too. It's it's a really fun game. Not many people know about. Um, there is a lot of controversy in the D&D world. And the D&D world isn't all like sunshine and rainbow, as like you may hear in like a lot of stories like that you hear from like a bunch of other people who played the game. They're like, "Oh, it's amazing, dude. There's nothing that can go wrong. Everything can go wrong." Um, like there's a lot of controversy with the game because people give it a really bad reputation by saying, "Oh, this game's evil. It'll do this and this to your kids." And no, no, it's a pretty it's a pretty simple game. So this is mostly like older people uh who think like, oh, it's an evil game because like there's many, and when I say many I mean like there's many monsters, demons, creatures that you'll encounter in like the whole thing. But in reality the game is not bad. It's like it's not evil. It's just like any other game that you play. Like you get to roam around the world, talk to random people. Like there's just someone walking by, like an NPC, and you just look at them and you tell your DM, I talk to them, and he creates a whole new story with this whole new NPC that you've never met ever. It's it's really cool. You get to fight things, maybe find treasure. I have like a really cool story. Once we were having this cool adventure. I don't remember how long ago this was. It was like like a long time ago before I started getting back into it. We were like having this cool adventure. I was just walking with everyone. We were having this cool thing, and then like we found like this, what it's called, like a wagon. It was a wagon for like treasure, like a bunch of rogues and thieves, and we stole all of it. Like the wagon tipped, and there was just treasure everywhere, and we took all the treasure and killed all of the goblins, the rogue things. I don't remember what it was. It was part of someone else's story, so like I didn't really listen. It's really important that you have to listen. I really don't know what it was, but the names sounded cool. Do I remember what the names were? Absolutely not. But they sounded cool. That's all I remember, and it added to the experience. Um, but to recap all of this stuff that I just said, um, the D&D world gets a very bad rep. It doesn't really deserve it, but it kind of makes sense why people say all this stuff about it, because it's more about like the person who's listening to it. Um, Someone's telling you, "Oh, you encounter a demon and with a flaming knife or something," and they're like, "Oh God, the devil!" Yeah, that's it makes sense why people think it's a really bad game. Well, anyways, next up is my beginner experience, as I said in the beginning of the podcast. My beginner experience in D&D. I don't have experience. I never got much in when I started playing. I got I played it before, but I never really got back. I never really got back into it until pretty recently. Um, but it wasn't really hard to get back into it. No, no, it was kind of hard to get back into it. It wasn't really hard to get into it in general. You know, it's as long as you know the basics, like roll a dice, get a d20, a really good thing happens. Roll a dice, get a nat 1, a really bad thing happens. Stuff like that. This information, like the dice rolls, is all I went in with when I started playing the game. Um, this the dice was the only thing I went in with. But there's a lot more that you have to do to it. I didn't really know that. I just knew dice, roll, good, okay, let's go. Um, it's way more. It's way more complicated. You have to pay constant attention to everything people say because they add like a lot of your DM will add a lot of detail to what they're saying. So like they're like, oh, okay. So like in the middle of the story, they're like, you walk into a tavern with a bartender with a very sharp knife, full of rogues, dragonborns, gnomes, elves, and a random creature in the back that you don't know that looks pretty suspicious. What do you do? And stuff like that. You have to pay really close attention because if you don't pay close attention, you're gonna be like, there was a gnome in the corner. What's an elf? Wait, where are we? Stuff like that. That will happen a lot if you don't pay attention. But if you do pay attention, the game will be pretty fun. Not paying attention won't take the fun out of it for you at least. It'll take the fun out of it for everyone else because they have to listen to the DM say what they just said again because you weren't listening. But it's fine. I had a pretty good time playing it. Did I make it less fun for everyone? Maybe. I was kind of a murder hobo, which is basically someone who doesn't really pay attention to the game and just kills things because they think it's fun, but it just makes it less fun for everyone. I'm gonna try not to do that anymore. But overall, the experience was pretty good. I had like my own problems, like murder hobo ing. But I think I did uh pretty good. I think that should be it. Thank you all for listening to the Nat 20 podcast. It's been a real pleasure, and if you get into the game D&D, I hope you have really good adventures. Goodbye.